Ship's log, celestial date 218.261.22. I have managed to secure the strange orb that was causing the people on Reverie Station to riot, and it's in a containment field. I don't know how long the containment field is going to last, but everything seems stable. And now I need to take off from Reverie Station and get myself to Saffron, where I believe in a very short period of time the gamma ray will hit again. And maybe I can learn some more about it by examining it, scanning it. At some point, I need to find a way to eliminate it, although, if possible, I'd like to try to stop it from interfering with the systems in this sector without killing it. I don't know if I'm going to be able to do that. Hello and welcome. I am Scrapperlock, and this is Starforged Alpha Cluster. We are with Krista Sutton, our main character, who in the last episode underwent a kind of a combat where she wasn't trying to kill anybody. She was using her stun gun and dodging and trying to get hold of this orb, which I said I've been thinking is an orb of nightmares like the one that did in Wiglaf. So we have to be careful with this thing, or it could trap Krista in a nightmare scape as well. But so far she's managed to avoid having that happen. She's trapped it in a containment field. It's in storage on the Stormswept. But before she can take it over here to Relic Station and ask her friend Zephyr about it and see if she can find a way to safely examine it, she wants to get to Saffron, where we've determined the gamma ray is about to appear, or so we think. So the way we're going to do this is we're still looking for progress in the find and stop the gamma ray quest. I think she can't just show up in the sector and attack it, because it's this huge giant thing. She doesn't really want to kill it. So I think what she's going to actually try to do is scan it and see if she can find out some more about it, and maybe see if she can figure out a way to lead it somewhere else, maybe lead it out of the sector into the burning gyre or something. Although I don't know that she necessarily wants to pass this problem on to another sector's people. We also have the Orb of Nightmares, and we're going to have to learn the secrets of that. And guys, I do think I want to wind this series down for a couple of reasons. The main one, and I know we're nowhere near the star chart background vow being completed, and we probably won't be able to complete that because it takes so many steps. And there's just such a low probability that any particular star is going to be on our star chart. And I like it that way, but because I think it'd be too easy if every star we came to had a high probability. But it also means we're probably not going to finish it. So I think what we're going to do here is I'm going to try not to make any more iron vows, except perhaps if they are sub-vows that are part of the ones that exist here. And I think we're going to try to stop the gamma ray and learn the secrets of the Orb of Nightmares. And if we could do those two things, I'm going to call it a campaign. And my guess is it'll take us probably another 9 or 10 episodes to do that, based on the fact that learning the secrets of the orb is a formidable quest. I think one of the reasons is that we're going to probably have this whole discovery box filled in. We're going to have a lot of the quest boxes filled in, not so much on the bonds, but with so much experience and so many assets, we're going to have all of these completed. The character starts getting, like a lot of leveled characters, quite powerful. And the only way to counter that in Starforged, and I feel like honestly this is a flaw in the game, is to start making things become extreme and epic instead of dangerous, troublesome, or maybe formidable. The problem with that is they take forever. Look how long this background vow is taking us. If you try to do an epic journey or an extreme delve, we're into hours and hours and hours of doing that, and I just don't think that's enjoyable. I think that especially the way the vaults work and the derelicts, you get a lot of repetition, and I don't get a lot of inspiration out of it. And part of it maybe is that it's science fiction, and I'm trying to avoid fantasy motifs. but those are the things that come most easily to me because I think in terms of either fantasy or superheroes far more than science fiction. Maybe that's my problem. But I feel like the issue becomes when you get too many assets, like troublesome and dangerous are just way too easy. So now you got to make everything formidable or harder. And I think things like battles, once you get into beyond formidable, it just takes too long, right? And not that you can't do them, but they're just not really fun for me. So I think we're going to complete these two vows, and I think that will be a really good stopping point. And at that point, we'll have done about 50 sessions, which I think is probably enough. I also want to point out this is probably going to take a lot of real time because the academic year is starting now in a couple of days. It's like the Wednesday before classes start. They start next Monday. I've already been in 3 days of meetings, mostly pointless meetings, which is how most meetings are. But I've got to set up classes, I've got to write lectures, I've got to prepare quizzes, and all the sorts of things that you do in the semester, and not just this week, but every week now going until December. So it's unlikely that I'll be able to post more than maybe one of these a week. Um, so I'm guessing that there will probably be a coincidence between when my D&D campaign is set to end, which is probably in about 5 sessions, and we play every other week, so that's going to be in about 10 weeks, and this thing going about 10 more sessions once a week. That'll probably be close to 10 weeks from now, and so sometime in real time in mid to late October of this year, 2022, will probably be the wrap up of that campaign, this campaign as well as that one. And after that, that will free up my Forge space for Foundry, because Forge is my host for Foundry, to purge all of this stuff from both games. It'll free up my hard drive space. I can export all that, clear it out, and then I can use the space to install something else, like possibly Call of Cthulhu, or what I'm thinking of is Pathfinder for Savage Worlds or Deadlands for Savage Worlds, and maybe we'll do some solo of that with the Mythic game engine. But that's all down the road. I do apologize for not posting anything for almost 2 weeks now. I was out of town for over a week. I had a death in the family, and I had to deal with that. And it was out of town, and it takes 2 days to get there and 2 days to get back. And I was up there for 4 or 5 days. And then when I came back, I had to immediately get ready for school, and so I really haven't had a lot of time. So in August, we've been very sparse, and I do apologize for that. I'm going to try to get into doing it about once a week. If I can do more than that, I will do that, but I won't promise it. Krista has got to get to Saffron. So I think we'll gain a progress if she gets to Saffron and gets a hit. The gamma ray will be there. So on a strong hit, she gets there and the gamma ray is there. On a weak hit, there's going to be some sort of a complication. So the gamma ray is there, but maybe it's doing damage and the station's asking for help, and she's got to help the station, or we'll see. On a miss, when she gets there, the gamma ray is gone. She's too late. It's taken her too long to go through the drift. Now, we're setting a course, so it's a single move, but that doesn't mean that she can get there instantaneously, right? She still has to stop at the various way stations, and it's going to take her, 3 or 4 hours at each way station. So now we have established she can go straight from here to here because that path was known before Nyx was discovered. But that's still one, say 2, 3, 4, 5 anchorages, which is about 15 hours, and then the time it takes to go through the drift, which is probably another 9 or so hours. So it's going to take her about a day. So she will, at the earliest, if we don't get a miss, arrive on 218.262, maybe .24, or maybe even 263.1 or 2. So it's going to be a while, even though she's doing it in one move. The reason we're doing it in one move is that these drift passages are already charted, and so she doesn't have to find her way. So let's go ahead and do the first move. Krista radios the station. She talks to Cassidy Cade, and she says, listen, I know the gamma ray has done damage here, and I believe my calculations are that it's going to Saffron next, and I want to get over there and see if I can help them. And so I'll be taking my leave. And Cassidy says, all right, well, good luck. And then Krista takes off in the Storm Swept. She undocks from the Reverie, and she heads into the drift, and she's going to try to fly to Saffron. So now we're going to set a course. We got some momentum, so we are doing okay. I don't think our explorer does anything with setting a course, does it? Exploring, finishing, hardening, securing advantage. So we don't have any of that. So that doesn't help. Does the starship help? No, that's finishing an expedition. All right, so she is definitely going to need to raise her shields. So maybe one of the things we can say is if we get a miss, maybe the gamma ray is there and she doesn't raise her shield in time. And if so, we'll rate it as it's likely that it's not there. If that's not true, then she didn't raise her shields in time, and she gets hit with it or something. So first though, let's see if we need to even do that. We are securing advantage, rolling supply, or sorry, setting a course, rolling supply, and we get an opportunity, double ones. Okay, so this sounds like yes, it's there, and she makes it through the drift. It's a day later. We take +1 momentum, and immediately the gamma ray is there, and it's far enough away from her that I think what happens is she gets there first. So she arrives, it's not there, and she's like, So she radios, what is it, Brink, and she says, Brink Station, this is Jackpot on board the Storm Swept. I have data suggesting that the gamma ray might be in this system soon. Have you been attacked by it yet? And they say no, but we do expect it here soon, and we're trying to prepare. And Krista says okay, and so she's going to raise her shields, right? So we're rolling vehicles plus integrity and raising shields. And we get a weak hit. We're not going to burn momentum. A weak hit is good enough that raises our shields to 3. So her shields are up, and as long as the shields are not 0, that can protect her from the gamma ray. However, bursts from the gamma ray will do damage to the shields. So she's here, she's ready, she raises her shields, and we get an opportunity as well. So let's see. What opportunity are we going to get? Let's try descriptor and focus. A foreboding reality. So I think Krista uses her time to... Oh, it's dangerous now, right, because she has shields. So Krista is going to use her time to study the data. She asked Brink to transmit data on the attacks of the gamma ray so she knows exactly where it's going to come out. And this is going to give her the ability to position herself behind it. And so it projects its rays to the front, so it won't at least immediately attack her. And what she's going to do is from behind, she's going to saying it's 6 o'clock high, right? So it can't see her. And she's going to follow it, and she's going to scan it. So she waits, and this thing apparently can fly through the drift, and it comes out of the drift in a different spot from where she knows, so not quite in this location. Maybe it comes over here on this side. And she immediately is in the right position because this was an opportunity. And so she knows where it is, and she's going to scan and see if she can learn anything about it. Like, can she learn its weaknesses? Okay, so I believe this is securing an advantage. And what she's doing with expertise, focus, or observation is she's trying to see if she can figure out if it has any weaknesses. We also have stealth. Okay, actually, I think maybe what we should do is she's trying to avoid detection first, right? So I think what she's going to do is try to avoid detection. so that it doesn't know she's there. And then if she can avoid the detection, she's going to scan it. So she has a +1. She turns on the stealth module, right? And she's behind it. And now she's going to try and avoid its detection. So let's see, does the gamma ray detect her? We get +1 with this roll. So this is pretty good. And we get a weak hit because you can't beat a 10. Urgh. We succeed, but not without a cost. So the gamma ray doesn't detect her, but there's some sort of a cost. I think this is going to cost her some momentum, right? That she, because she was in stealth mode. Okay, so because she's in stealth mode, she can't run the engines full. So she starts getting behind the gamma ray. It's faster than she is, and she's going to scan it, and it doesn't know she's there, but she loses a little momentum because she had to like slow down the storm swept, and it's not moving at full sublight speed. It's moving at like, 1/2 impulse power, shall we say. So now she's going to see if she can. So does that give us progress? No, I don't think so. I think to get more progress, we need to find its weakness. So she's going to scan it and see if she can learn anything new about it, right? So she's going to secure an advantage with expertise. And we get a strong hit, so we get +2 momentum and add +1 onto her next move. So I think this marks progress for us. But we find something out about the gamma ray. Let's try rolling story clue and see what it gives us. Evokes a remarkable anomaly or phenomenon. Okay. Well, that's what this thing is. So let me think about that. All right, so I think after scanning it and scanning the emissions that it's giving off, there isn't a lot that actually stops gamma radiation, other than very, very thick lead and that sort of thing. We have shields. But I think the other thing that also helps against gamma radiation is distance, keeping your distance from things. So what Krista realizes is when she fights this thing, she's going to have to keep her distance, and so I think she's going to have to shoot it down. I don't really see any other way for her to take this thing out and get it to stop attacking. She can't. I mean, I guess she can try communicating with it. Maybe that's what we should do. She could try communicating with it. So she's going to keep her distance. This is, of course, going to give up her advantage of entering the fray +1 with it. She's not going to ambush it, right? She's going to try to communicate with it first. And let's see what happens. So I think she's going to she wants to compel it, but she's got to be able to communicate with it first. We have +1 on our next move. So I think she studied the gamma rays. She thinks that this is its way of communicating. So she's going to see if she can rig her ship to emit short bursts of waves of gamma radiation that are very short, not that strong, but detectable by the ray so that she can try and communicate with it. Can she even do that? So let's check our gear. So she puts the ship on autopilot, and if we look at the map of the storm swept, in the front, she goes downstairs, right? She leaves it on autopilot. She climbs down the ladder, and she comes downstairs, and up here is like where the communications array is, right down in here. So she's going to come in here and try and see if she can rig it. So she's going to get +1 on this move, gathering information. So we know what we have to do. She's going to check the gear and see if we can, can she reconfigure her communications array to give out short bursts in a pattern that she thinks this thing will understand as communication. Let's see how we do. We get a weak hit. So I think it definitely causes a delay and we lose some momentum. So it takes her time to do this, and the gamma ray puts some distance between her and her ship and itself. And then she comes back to the bridge, gets back in the pilot's chair, and now she's got to start up the ship again. She doesn't have to move at quarter impulse power anymore so she goes at full sublight because she's not doing the silent running anymore. She's not going to ambush it. She's going to try to communicate with it. And so now what she's going to do is, should we do this as a scene challenge where she's going to have to communicate with it and get it to turn away? I think so. So we've rigged the ship up to potentially communicate with this thing. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a scene challenge, right? So we're convincing the gamma ray. And I think this will be dangerous. We put a clock of 4 segments on it, right? This is the new scene challenge rules. And if she fails, this thing is going to turn and attack her. If she succeeds, she might be able to convince it to avoid civilized systems, but she's going to have to find a way to really communicate with this thing. So we're going to enter the scene challenge, so we're not entering a fray, although we may. She approaches the gamma ray and starts slowing down, and she begins tapping out simple messages to it. And she's going to start by tapping out an initial message, basically saying, like a greeting. Hello, I am human. I am inside the large metal thing behind you. I mean you no harm, right? And that's what she tries to put out, right, in gamma ray bursts. Right? She's trying to figure out how to communicate with this thing. I mean you no harm. I mean you no harm, right? And she's trying to get its attention, right? So let's see. First, let's see. Can she figure out how to even do that? To send it a non-threatening signal. It's sort of like, a dog wagging its tail. Has she figured out enough of what this thing is doing to send it a non-threatening signal? Right? She's not going to be able to talk in language to it, but maybe not. We don't know how intelligent it is. Has she got enough of what she's been observing from this thing to be able to know how to even set the bursts up to be non-threatening? So let's secure advantage, and we're doing it with wits. And we get a strong hit, +2 momentum, and +1 on our next move. Yes, so she's hearing these bursts. I'm sort of picturing like a Star Trek IV: The Voyage Home, right? Where the thing is aiming stuff at the oceans and it's going, making this like weird thing that when you hear it underwater, it's whale song, right? And Kirk says, can we respond? And Spock says, the sounds, but not the language. We'd be responding in gibberish. So has Krista observed enough of the pulses? It's hit her ship several times. She's got Brink's records. She's got Relic's records. Does she know enough that she can send back a I mean you no harm, I'm behind you, I'm not trying to sneak up on you, I mean you no harm kind of a signal? And I think the answer is yes, because we got a strong hit. So she's learned enough that she's at least got the ability to start sending some basic signals toward this thing. And we're going to face danger and see how she does. We got +1 on our next move from securing advantage, right? And we're rolling wits because we're using observation. Wits is her strong suit. We got +1, so we're basically +5 on this, which is great. And we've got 9 momentum, so unless we roll double 10s, we should be okay. Let's see what happens. And we get a strong hit. So she's successful, and we mark progress. So the gamma ray stops, and it's sort of its little wings are sort of floating and flapping a little bit, and it pivots around, and it like sort of stops and faces her, and it just sort of floats, and it emits a couple of short gamma ray bursts that it doesn't mean to be harmful, but are potentially dangerous to Krista's ship. And so I think she's going to have to face danger to endure, to modulate the shields and endure this. And I think she can't dodge out of the way. She's got to slow down and face it. So I think she's going to have to roll iron here and see if she can withstand the gamma ray burst from this thing. And we don't get any bonuses, so let's roll iron and see what happens. And we get a miss, but we're going to burn momentum and get a strong hit, which allows us to mark progress. So she manages to modulate the shields, and the shields absorb this very powerful incoming gamma ray burst. So Krista now is going to, let's see, so the first thing she's going to do is respond by saying essentially, ow, that hurt. Please don't hurt me, right? She's going to see if she can respond in that way and whether the gamma ray will understand that. And again, this is with wits, right? So what she wants to do is get it to understand that that burst that it just sent her, which is trying to communicate with, actually did damage, right? It hurt her ship, and it caused pain. So we get a couple momentum back, and we get +1 on our next move. So she manages, so the gamma ray stops, and it's now silently watching her, right? Because she just told her, ow, you hurt me, right? And it seems to have registered that it hurt her. And so now what Krista has to do is communicate to it and tell it that the sounds you are making hurt big metal animals like me, right? That's what she's trying to communicate to it, that the sounds you're making hurt big metal animals like me. And it doesn't understand what a human is because all it sees is this big, shiny metal ship. And so what Chris is trying to do is communicate, when you see something that looks like this, those bursts hurt. And let's see what happens when she communicates that. Does it understand? And we get a weak hit. We're successful and mark progress, but encounter a complication or setback. Envision what occurs and fill a clock bar. Okay, so what's the complication? Let's roll story complication and see what happens. A natural disaster is imminent. Okay. So I think this means that the gamma ray understood. Okay, it understands. And it doesn't respond with a burst because it doesn't want to hurt her. And it sort of turns around and gets ready to go on its way again. Right? Okay, I won't hurt you anymore. And it turns around and it keeps flying. And so Krista is going to have to try and catch up to it. And so she fires up the engines to follow it. Let's secure advantage. And we're using speed now to try and catch up. And we get a strong hit. So she catches up to it. +1 on our next move. So she catches up to it, she flies around in front of it and blocks it, and it stops. It doesn't know what to make of this. And Krista's going to try to say, not just me, right? All metal flying creatures like me are hurt by your song, right? And so she's trying to indicate that this song is painful to anything that looks like a spaceship. She's hoping that if she communicates that to the gamma ray, it will be able to avoid directing its communications bursts toward man-made objects. So does it understand? We get +1 on this, and I think this is again wits. And we get a strong hit. We're successful. Mark progress. So the gamma ray does seem to understand this. And so Krista then tries to communicate with it to say, can you please avoid this communication with anything that looks like me? Is the gamma ray going to understand this? I think let's roll progress and see. Either it's going to understand or it's not. If it doesn't, then it's just going to go back to what it was doing, and she may have to shoot it. Let's see what happens. Does it understand? We get a weak hit. So that means for a scene challenge, we succeed, but not without cost. A minor cost relative to the scene. So let's go ahead and complete it. So what's the cost going to be? Let's try action and theme and see what it gives me. Avenge power. So I'm not sure what to do with that. Let me think about it. I'll pause it here. Okay, that wasn't giving me anything. I rolled descriptor and focus and got hoarded creation, and here's what I think. We've completed the scene challenge, which gives us progress. I think what the creature is going to communicate to her is, I think what the creature is going to do is it's going to continue, and it's going to sort of lead her. It's going to go forward and stop and look back, and then keep going and like indicate it wants her to follow, and it's going to lead her into orbit around the sun. And she can't go directly to it, but she can get pretty close with her shields. And what she's going to see is there are eggs floating in orbit around the sun, and she understands that these are its babies, right, getting ready to be hatched. And it's coming in here, and it goes up to them, and it communicates with its gamma rays, and then it sort of turns and looks back at her. And so the gamma ray needs to emit this radiation to communicate with and sort of nest with its babies. Like, they need the radiation to grow or whatever. So it can't just stop emitting gamma rays. And so what Chris is going to try to communicate to it is, look, you can do this here, just don't aim it at the metal flying stuff, right? And let's see, is she successful at this? And it's a strong hit. So the gamma ray understands, and from now on, the gamma ray will not be emitting bursts at civilized things. Now, it can't see what's on planets, so it might still sometimes do it to planets, perhaps, but it won't hit orbital stations and it won't hit spaceships. And that completes this dangerous vow. So we have fulfilled our vow. Nope. That one. And on a strong hit, we get 2 ticks on our quest rewards. 1, 2, we get XP. So we can up one of our assets, which I will do. Um, and now we also, in our journal for Chronos Tide, sector troubles, right? This is done. We do not have this sector trouble anymore. There are no longer energy storms rampant in this sector because the gamma ray isn't producing them any longer. So I think that's a good place to stop. We fulfilled that vow. So we got pretty much one vow left. We got to figure out the secret of the Orb of Nightmare. So this orb is going to be the finisher to both this campaign and the Wiglaf campaign. I don't know if we're going to pull Wiglaf out of it. Maybe we will. I mean, maybe if we can learn all the secrets and get a strong hit, we'll pull Wiglaf out of it, and he will come from the Ironlands into Starforged, and then we can envision, I don't know, him and Krista falling in love and living happily ever after or something. I don't know. Maybe that'll work. So let me pause and take a look at assets so I don't leave you in suspense. I'll tell you what we're going to do with our XP, and then we will end for the session. All right, so let's continue with the stealth module. Now, if we travel stealthily as we undertake an expedition, plus shadow, it's not our greatest stat, but you can re-roll your action die. So if we have to go stealthily, we've had to do that a couple of times at least. +2 isn't great, but we could always re-roll it. You only do this once, right? You can't keep re-rolling it. All right, so I think we will stop there, guys. I hope you have enjoyed this session. I certainly did. I'm glad to be back after not having done this for about 2 weeks. I very much missed this character and Starforged. And again, I'm enjoying this campaign, but I think that it's time to start winding it down, and I think it's good that we just have this one main quest left. I don't know that we'll make any more progress on the background vow. We won't worry about that too much. We've completed an awful lot of quests. Look at all that. Look at that. This character has done a lot, which is why she has so much XP. Until next time, guys, I am Scrapperlock, and this has been Starforged Alpha Cluster.